Let us enter into worship with the words of Reverend Karen Johnston. Do not be alone right now. Gather together. Gathering together grows courage in ourselves and in others who see the numbers swelling. Never fails. It is a small thing, but right now it is an important thing. Great sources of wisdom remind us, just because you cannot stem the tide of all hate. Chokes me up. I have a thing for that. Because you all provided them, thank you. Great sources of wisdom remind us, just because you cannot stem the tide of all hate, it is still right to do the thing you can. These things add up. Your one thing and my one thing, his one thing and their one thing and her one thing. Together, it becomes a big thing. Do not be alone right now. Any liberation, all liberation is collective liberation. My freedom is bound with yours, and yours with mine, inextricably. Let us cast our lots doing this big thing together, bending the moral arc of the universe towards justice. Come, let us worship together. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit to join our voices in our opening hymn, number 1067 in the teal hymnal, Mother Earth, Beloved Garden. We will sing the first 4 verses.
Please remain standing as Kathleen Rasmus lights our chalice with these words by the Reverend J. Wolin. As we come together, let us remember those who have come before us, both known and unknown, and sacrificed so we could have the opportunities we have. Let us think about those yet to come both known and unknown, and the world we will leave them. Let us act with our values, the impact of which, both known and unknown. Let us move forward with hope for a world we can imagine and one we cannot fathom. As we light this chalice, let it light the path as we move forward in worship together, together in freedom. I invite Krista Salsicki up for a brief announcement.
Well, I can't believe it's June already. And this is Pastor Lora's last Sunday with us as anchor minister. So I'd like to join together in a moment of gratitude and gentle farewell to Pastor Lora, who's been with us as our anchor minister through Reverend Jane's sabbatical. When we put together our sabbatical plan, we had several things in mind: to keep our shared spiritual journey, our mission and vision, moving forward with intention, to continue nurturing our sense of community, and to make sure we are caring for one another with compassion and depth. Well, guest ministers and speakers bring fresh voices, new perspectives, and wonderful opportunities for reflection and growth. We also knew we needed something more. We needed someone to anchor us, someone to hold the center, someone we feel comfortable approaching a coffee hour and going to for pastoral care. Someone whose presence in the pulpit would feel steady, familiar, and warmly connected to our community. And so the search for an anchor minister began. And Pastor Lora stepped into that vision with thoughtfulness, warmth, and gentle care. Pastor Lora offered not just her time, but her attention. During her interview, Pastor Lora said, "Coffee hour is not just about talking to folks. It's about paying attention." She listened deeply, noticed what mattered, and made meaningful connections. Pastor Lora understands that ministry is rooted in relationship, in creating space where care and connection can grow. From the beginning, she brought a heart-centered, creative, and collaborative spirit to everything. Pastor Lora's approach to worship was thoughtful and richly textured. She brought meaningful ideas for ritual and found ways to engage more of our senses. She didn't simply lead worship. She co-created it with us, participating with the liturgy team in meetings and shaping the services that felt grounded, reflective, and alive. Pastor Lora also embraced and supported us in our congregational sabbatical focus, spiritual renewal, and the exploration of spiritual practices, offering 2 evening gatherings, one on gratitude and one on prayer, gifts she shared above and beyond her role. Thank you, Pastor Lora, for anchoring us with such warmth and intention during this sabbatical season. Your steady presence, your care and creativity, yes, thank you, has meant so much to our community, and we send you on with our heartfelt gratitude. You've helped us stay grounded and connected through this time of transition. May the next steps on your journey be as meaningful and grace-filled as the time you've shared with us.
I feel like that's the story right there. I'm just going to, I feel like I need to move around a little on this. Can you hear me? Did I get that all? Okay, I'm fussing with it, but thank you so much. I'm trying to, I've already choked up, so. thank you. And I'll talk a little bit more about the experience during the sermon, but I wanted to share a story for today that is an old story, but not all that old. This is the amazing thing about this particular story. This is based on, well, multiple versions of how the flower ceremony came to be. All right, so some of the actual things that happened. It was in 1923, so really not all that long ago, before some of our lifetimes began. Some of us, yes. But not that long ago. It is not out of memory, as it were. It's generational. In the city of Prague, in the land of Czechoslovakia, in the year 1923, there had been some things going on in that country, and in the countries around there, and in that continent. But that conflict seemed to be over, although there were clouds again gathering on the horizon. But in that land of Czechoslovakia, in that city of Prague, there was a church. It did not look much like a church from the outside. You may have seen buildings like this, right? It had no bells. It had no spires, no stained glass windows, no organ, not even a piano. What? No carvings of wood or statues of stone, no candles, no chalices, no flowers. It did have some things. It had 4 walls and a ceiling and a floor. So that was good. It had a door. There were some windows, so light could get in and people could look out. It had some wooden chairs, hard, uncomfortable wooden chairs. But that was all, plain and simple. Except it was a church. So there were also people who are not so plain and simple. And this church had a minister, which is probably what made it a church, even though it didn't look like a church. The minister's name was Norbert Čapek. He had originally been a Baptist minister by training and vocation, but had found his way to Unitarianism, as many often do. He had been the minister at this plain and simple church for 2 years. And every Sunday, Minister Čapek went to church and he spoke to the people while they listened, sitting quietly and still in those hard wooden chairs. And when he was done speaking, the people would talk to each other a little bit, and then they went home, because there was no music, no candles, no food, no coffee, no donuts, no beautiful cake. Well, it was what it was. And there were people there in that congregation, that church, who were Muslim, who were Presbyterian, who were Baptist, who were something else entirely. There was a lot going on in that small, plain and simple church. But it was also springtime. It happened to be May, the merry month of May. And Norbert Čapek went out for a stroll, wondering and pondering ways to maybe bring this disparate group of people together. The rains had come to Czechoslovakia. The birds were singing. Flowers were blooming all over the place. See? The world was beautiful in spite of everything else going on. And then an idea came to him as he walked along those flower-bordered roads. And the next Sunday, he asked all the people in the church sitting in those hard wooden chairs to bring a flower or a budding branch or even a twig. That was interesting. Each person was to bring one. What kind, what color, what size? Everybody asked. And Minister Chapek said, you choose. Each of us choose what you like. And so on the next Sunday, the first day of summer, maybe it was even beginning of June, who knows, the people came with flowers of all different colors and sizes and kinds. There were yellow daisies and red roses. There were white lilies and blue asters, dark-eyed pansies and light green leaves, pink and orange and gold, all those colors and more. Flowers filled those vases, and the church wasn't so plain and simple anymore. Minister Chapek spoke to the people while they listened, sitting quiet and still in those hard wooden chairs. These flowers are like ourselves, he said. Different colors, different shapes, different sizes, each needing different kinds of care, but each beautiful, each important, each necessary in its own way. And when he was done speaking, the people talked a little bit among themselves. And this time, instead of just going straight home, they each chose a different flower than they had brought from the vases before they went home. And that was all. That was it. And then the next year they did it again. And the year after that. And the year after that. And Lora Chapek died during World War II. His wife, Maria, came to the United States and brought this simple, beautiful flower ceremony with her. In 1940, it was first practiced on these shores, and we still practice today. Thank you for listening. As we join together in our prayer hymn, our quiet hymn, number 155 in the gray hymnal, Circle Round for Freedom. I invite you into a time of prayer and meditation. And in the silence that follows the spoken prayer, you are invited to light a candle for any joys or concerns you hold in your heart this morning. Spirit of life, Spirit of love and mystery, be with us this hour. We lift up the circle of humanity this morning. It encompasses this whole planet. And yet we know we are each so different. We feel this love around the world, stretching and stretching and stretching. Enfolding all children in the warm embrace. Holding all those people in pain, all those who suffer, all of those deeply impacted by outward decisions which they did not make. All of those impacted by decisions they did make. Let this circle of love, this circle round, grow and grow to encompass this whole planet and every being. Let this circle of love be strong, however it needs to be strong. Let it connect us and guide us when other voices, non-loving, get so loud. Let us remember inner strength, inner peace, and inner freedom. For these things, we remain in silence to let them grow and be nurtured. Amen. Blessed be. the joys and concerns of those beloveds joining us virtually. I light a candle for all else that we hold in our hearts and our minds this morning. If your heart is hurting, know that your community is here to help, as am I still. And Reverend Jane again soon. Please reach out with any needs.
These offering words are titled, "When Giving is All We Have," by Alberto Rios. One river gives its journey to the next. We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. We have been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces. It is loud and quiet, big though small, diamond and wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn, and the pages too. But we read this book anyway, over and again. Giving is, first and every time, hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue, and I gave you yellow. Together we are simple green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give. Together, we made something greater from the difference. For those of you watching the service online, you may contribute to a virtual offering plate using the donation button on our website or by mailing a check to the church office. The gifts of the congregation will now be most gratefully received. I invite the ushers to come forward. For all that you give and all that you do for our church community and its wider concerns, we give thanks. These, the words of Reverend Sean Parker Dennison, titled Blessing for Kin. I wish you a single story, not a simple fairy tale with only happiness, but one life without secrets or omissions, without the need for fake faces, one pointed outward, the other inward and real. I wish for you the twin beauties of clarity and consistency, knowing the singular word that holds all of you together, all of you at once, all of you. I wish you no need to hide, no reason to live in shadows or half-truths, no need to cover the spark and sparkle of your heart to keep it from catching the light of sun or moon. I wish you wholeheartedness that arises from the liberty before needing to be freed, the completeness that precedes breaking, the integrity of your being, a unity undivided and boundless. I wish you a far-reaching welcome from within, full and absolute acceptance, nothing withheld from yourself, unrealized or unfinished. And I wish you a place and a people who do not want you in pieces, incomplete and partial. A world that no longer asks anyone to wrench apart their heart or divide their soul from mind, from nature, from core. I bless you with all that is whole. And this reading, titled, To the People Who Have Mistaken Freedom for Liberation, by the Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto. To be free, you must embrace the breadth of your own existence without apology, even if they try to take it from you. You must know not that you can do whatever you want. You are not a kudzu vine, eating entire hillsides for the purpose of feeding your own lush life. You must know instead that inside you are entire universes, milky blue, magenta, and gold, expanding. But to actually be free, you must know and you must fight for the entire universes inside of everyone else. Being free is not a license, but a promise. Please rise and embody your spirit as we join our voices in hymn number 1040 from the Teal hymnal, Hush. We will sing verses 1, 2, and 3.
Hush.
I don't think I feel like sitting down after that. Keep on going. There we go. We can do it. I began with a question as I was working on this. We're not supposed to talk about that process, but what the heck. It's my last Sunday with you, so I asked myself, what is freedom? We're certainly hearing a lot about one version of freedom right now. I was wondering if, as Janis Joplin so wisely stated all these many years ago, what if freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose? Right? Maybe. Okay, it could be. Ralph Ellison, in his book Invisible Man, said, when I discover who I am, I'll be free. And here's from an unexpected quarter, Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison himself. The most important kind of freedom is to be what you really are. You trade in your reality for a role, you trade in your sense for an act, you give up your ability to feel, and in exchange, put on a mask. There can't be any large-scale revolution until there's a personal revolution on an individual level. It's got to happen inside first. Thank you, Jim Morrison. And then Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, letting go gives us freedom. And freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our heart we still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free. That's a lot. And then there's freedom from, or freedom to, or in our own UU tradition, freedom of, as in freedom of the pulpit, freedom of belief. But all of that in some ways is external freedom, right? Freedom from oppression means an external oppressor. I mean, you could oppress yourself probably, but that's not kind of the sense of freedom from. So perhaps there's freedom from religion and freedom of religion and freedom to believe and freedom to act. But those are still external. And all those readings that really spoke to me about freedom, very internal, right? That internal sense of being free is what you can hold on to, no matter what else is going on in the world around you. Or at least that's the hope. That's the striving for. Viktor Frankl wrote about freedom, that freedom is not something you have, but is rather a mode of being and an attitude. And he wrote here, he's speaking here about in the concentration camps during World War II, when so many people who were being othered got gathered together and put in horrific, inhuman conditions. And he wrote, those who succumbed to factors in their environment first gave up their freedom to choose their attitude towards the situation. So the situation became overwhelming, and they chose to let that become overwhelming. That's a lot to think about in that particular context. You can choose to be. Well, those who succeeded in not giving up on life had spiritual support. And for Frankl, that was the sense that one has a task ahead. That is the spiritual support, the sense that there's, oh, hello, my friend. Here we are. The sense that there's a task, and that is the spiritual support necessary to maintain that quality of inner freedom. There is more for you and me to do, to hold on to that inner freedom. I was thinking about some of the sermons I have preached here over the last 6 months. 6 months. almost 6 months. And I realized that every one of them was some form of resilience or resistance given these times. I kind of equate them sometimes, resilience and resisting. So perhaps it was remembering to look for beauty, joy as an act of resilience and resistance. And a lot of times, those things are internal. That sense of wonder to cultivate, no matter what else is going on. Rest as resilience, as resistance to all that calls you to be busy, 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 get this done, do this thing. Just be for a while. This doesn't mean that freedom, that inner freedom, that sense of spiritual support that lets you know there is more to do, is not just a thing that happens. It requires work, just like all these other things of resilience and resistance. And I found 5 steps that seemed really important for cultivating that kind of inner freedom that leads to resilience, whatever else is going on. This is from Bhavna Shamalan, 5 tools, and they are self-awareness, radical honesty and radical self-compassion, courage, and belief in your worthiness. Shyamalan wrote, inner freedom comes from inner truth, from knowing, expressing, and living our inner truth. If we are to have that kind of freedom, we need to develop those 5 qualities of self-awareness, living a life that is authentic and free from external influences or internal hindrances. Can you leave your own stuff that says you can't? And take a step or move forward. But you must be aware of what is going on inside. So busy, 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 busy will not get you to this first step. I know, that's a hard thing, right? Busy means I'm doing a thing, I'm doing something over this wave of everything else going on. All those things that are seeming to take away hope. Busy means I can get past that, I can get through that, I can make something that will withstand the wave. But maybe what we need is less busy and more. I kind of want to use the word navel gazing. Let's look at our belly buttons. Right? Let's check them out. Radical honesty and radical self-compassion. Unless we give ourselves space to be and accept who we are with a sense of non-judgment towards yourself and compassion, we will never be willing to see the truth of ourselves. Right? We must believe in our own agency. Well, there's a tough one. We have to believe we are fundamentally free and have the power to do, to think, to feel in a way that is authentic and truthful before we can be free. That's a tough one right now. Our own agency, our own bodily autonomy, our own freedom to be who we are, who we know ourselves to be. Which leads to the next step, cultivating courage. Because our own fear gets in the way of courage to be our full, true selves. And then you must believe in your own worthiness. You've got that down, right? I wake up every morning going, what am I doing? Who do I think I am? That I am standing up here with this collar on? Or the clergy robe? Who do I think I am? I'm just me. And I want to share that, right? This is what we do. And I want to be brave and speak truth to power. But speak truth to myself with compassion and honesty. So there are your tools for cultivating your own personal inner freedom, your own spiritual support that will help you ride that wave of all else that is happening around that says, no, you can't be you. No, you can't be that either. There's a reason I'm wearing this beautiful thing instead of my robe this morning. I know from afar it looks like a lot of different colors. Well, my friends, this is meant to be every pride flag, every iteration that there is. In support of who each person is and wants to be. There may be one missing. There's a brand new one that has 2 circles on it to honor and remind us of those people who are non-binary, who don't claim one particular gender or any gender at all. For being who they are, who they wish to be. I'm reminded of our second reading by Julian Jamaica Soto. They wrote, "You must know instead that inside you are entire universes, milky blue, magenta, and gold, expanding. But to actually be free, you must know and you must fight for the entire universes inside of everyone else." Unitarian Universalism is often accused of being ruggedly individual. We talk about that a lot. And we're moving toward that kind of collective liberation. That means my liberation is tied up with your liberation. My identity is tied up with your identity. My freedom is tied up with your freedom. It may not be a really strong knot, but without all those pieces, it will fall apart. It is the work of Unitarian Universalist communities in this day and age, and every day and age, to work together in association to fight for inner freedom for every one of us, for the entire universes, for those especially who are historically and currently being erased, imprisoned, or disappeared. That is our spiritual support, our inner freedom. I was reminded just now of another person's quote about freedom. We've talked about that inner freedom, to cultivate those things. But what happens when we get to that point when we are brave and we are self-compassionate and self-aware? What happens when we can all be truly ourselves, our best selves, our most authentic selves, always evolving, what happens when we embrace that. I believe that it's visible everywhere. It's visible out in the world. It's visible to your neighbors and friends and the stranger you pass in the grocery store. I believe it rings like a bell from your very depths of yourself, which made me think of the words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. And if America is to be a great nation, he wrote, this must become true. And so let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California, but not only that. Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and every molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Can I add, from every heart? Let freedom ring. And I close here with one blessing from Sean Dennison again, Reverend Sean Dennison. I wish you a far-reaching welcome from within, full and absolute acceptance, nothing withheld from yourself, unrealized or unfinished. Let freedom, let love, let liberation ring. Amen. In this moment is an invitation for you to come forward and choose a flower. Let us remind ourselves of a small, simple, plain church in the city of Prague 103 years ago, after a war, with another looming on the horizon, that a community came together and made beauty. So please come forward as you are called. Choose a flower that you did not bring. Unless you really, 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 really want the one that you brought. Choose your flower and sit with it for a few moments as we listen. invite you, as you've contemplated your flowers, now you may have to lay them aside to hold on to your hymnals, but rise in body or in spirit to join our voices in hymn number 1015. That's 1015 in your teal hymnal, I Know I Can. We're going to, so this is a bit of a tricky one. That's okay, I believe in us. We're going to sing verses 1, 2, and 5. Right? 1, 2, and 5.
We can do this.
You can do it. All right, here we go. My benediction is this. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here, for being just amazing and welcoming people, for having a system. I know that sounds strange when we're talking about freedom, but having systems in place that let people know what happens and when and how far outside of it you can go. I want to echo as our benediction Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto's words. To be free, you must embrace the breadth of your own existence without apology. But to actually be free, you must know and you must fight for the entire universe's inside of everyone else. Because being free is not a license, but a promise. Go in peace and let freedom reign.